Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first professional major of the year, the 2023 PDGA Champions Cup here in Appling, Georgia at the IDGC. He's Paul Ulibarri, I'm Jeremy Koling, and we're going to bring you all the action this week. Beautiful W.R. Jackson course. Paul, so good to have you here.
Oh, thanks. Good to be here, and oh my gosh, look at what we have here. $5 mystery tees? Are you kidding me?
Don't tease me, Paul. Oh my goodness gracious. You got to have swag on the course. Jomez swag preferably. I'm biased, but get yourself some stuff from the Jomez site. We got a big sale going on. Big course, Paul.
Big course. Best field of the year, maybe. And
sure.
It's going to be a beautiful week as well.
We've got a couple changes to this course. We're actually playing a brand new layout technically. Hole 14 and hole 18 have been shortened in the tees, but they've been par 5s reduced to par 4s. Scoring is going to be difficult. Michael Johansson called this course a distance course disguised as a woods course. And I think that's a pretty good way of saying this place has long landing zones. And you're going to see that today as Paul McBeth is on our card last year, finishing the tournament with a 16 under, just absolutely buku round. We have the hottest player on the planet, arguably, in Calvin Heimburg. He's going to be exciting to watch hit these lines. Isaac Robinson, the Georgia boy, the guy who just does not fear gaps. He rips through. Him and his brother, I swear, with drivers, they don't care about gaps, folks. It'd be exciting to see him attack, and obviously, we have got the reigning PDGA Champions Cup champion, Chris Dickerson. He loves the East Coast woods. He loves this tournament. This is basically essentially the perfect card.
That's right. Hole 1, par 4, 660 down the tube here. You can go left to right, bender to the corner, or you can throw the hyzer to try to get a little bit more out of it around this corner to about right here. And then pick your choice of what gap you want to hit to come into this pretty protected green. Slightly uphill as well. Remember that when they're coming in. See a lot of people come up a little bit short. Paul's got some good feelers out here for sure.
Yeah, he's had a lot of success out here, just like every other place on the planet.
Yeah. This game travels, doesn't it?
Yeah. He gets an early tree going down the left side, kicks right. Birdie's out of play, you'd think, but he's done some inhuman things here. One time in the playoff between him, Ricky, and Simon, he was way out of position and still got up and down for the birdie.
Such a great memory of that playoff as Calvin kicks off to the left side. That's going to be a little tougher. There's no chance for the up and down from over there. Right side is definitely better.
I would say we might have the most beautiful day in disc golf history.
It's close, isn't it?
It's about the best possible scoring conditions as Isaac goes a little bit too high, falls down. That's going to be well back of ideal landing zone. And see if Chris can make the adjustment. Pretty slow start for this card as far as this hole goes. This is one of the easier ones in the course. And that's what you're looking for right there. Well, yeah.
Yes.
There, got past. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You'll take anything. Like
I remember Simon coming up here in the playoff and then cut roller. That's the memory that I have.
What I remember specifically as Calvin gets a nice shot out, it was the number 1, number 2, and number 3 ranked players in the world going into a 3-way playoff. And I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that before or since. McBeth not getting too aggressive, just pitching one up the fairway. That should be a pretty relatively easy par scramble. And Isaac, he's probably in the 400 neighborhood to the pin, and
gets a little tree branch on both shots.
Yep,
costing him a little bit, but that's an easy par from there.
Mm-hmm. Calvin's got some work to save the par.
Yeah, but he's pretty comfortable with this shot. He's got to get a little lucky.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he forced that Anheuser through one of the tighter gaps in that middle cluster.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to do that.
But
he's trying to go wide into that big gap, gets a little love through the middle. Mm-hmm. But the shape was well thrown.
Just like Ed Sheeran, he likes the shape of you.
What
just
is
like
this?
Chris puts that in the bullseye. And that will be an opening birdie for the champion, the reigning champion.
Yeah, they're not trying to do that. They're trying to go wide.
Yeah, well, yes, of course.
There's no O. They're wide guys.
Of course,
Yes.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that each one of those gaps is about the same width from different places.
I
where
went
it's just,
through there as well.
a lot of people do.
Yes,
It's
the miss is get through there or kick left or right.
You just kind of, a lot of times you just, what was that little snappy foot action there from Isaac? That was kind of a happy feet situation. But either way, he's up there, short par putt.
Whoa,
Actually, no,
that
not
was
short at
very
all.
short. It was shorter than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, you need to get a little happier with his feet next time. That came up shorter than anyone wants for the first
Not
par
for
look.
him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a short putt for him, but sure. Lengthy par putts, both made from Isaac and Calvin. Good feeling. Those didn't look nervy at all. And McBeth. And the only person up here putting for birdie is the closest to the pin, Chris Dickerson, playing the hole the way that we would imagine a few more on this card would have, but no harm, no foul for the other three.
Yeah, it's funny that they both had those long looks for par. I feel like this is probably the easiest hole on the course to par. Like, it really doesn't matter where your disc goes. You should be able to par it. But it is a tough birdie, very tough birdie. You have to have a drive that gets into that perfect spot. We already got a guy up there really kind of shredding.
Yeah.
A slew of guys.
Well, it's about the scores we were thinking. I mean, last year, 18 and 14 were pretty soft par fives. Now, they become one of the harder par fours. And so, I mean, the score is going to be a lot tougher on this course than it was last year, just for those two holes alone. Everything else is the same. As we move on to the second hole, this is the second easiest hole in the course, 390 feet, pretty much dead straight with just the tiniest bit of fade at the end.
Yeah, the fairway asks for you to throw hyzer, though, because of how wide it is. So it asks you to throw kind of a wide fading from right to left, just barely drifting. You don't want steep hyzer. That was thrown perfectly.
Yeah, Chris is going to have another essential tap-in birdie to start this.
Looks great as well. Anything right there, you're loving life.
Ground play out here is usually quite fast. The pine straw serves as a very slick surface for the discs. They kind of move like you would imagine Arizona on that dry grass. It's very fast. So speed control and nose angle is very important. And Isaac just gets away with that width, and we're going to have 4 drives in the circle, as we would imagine from these guys. Paul knocking down the first birdie of his round. That's a good putt from the edge of the circle. That'll get him going.
Nose down. 3 inches above the rim. That's pretty good.
He is leading the tour in so many major statistical categories that it is just, it's crazy he hasn't won everything so far. There's this power drive index. I think it's the PDGA. I think that's about like who has given themselves the most opportunities on long holes. And he's leading in that. He's leading in circle 1 percentage, circle 2 percentage. He's on the front page of the best putting percentages of both C1 and C2.
He's definitely not leading an OB percentage. Look at that.
And there's the star frame. Okay, why you say he throws OB a lot, or what do you say?
No, he doesn't. In order to lead in that, you would have to have the most.
Oh, so you're saying I've got the lead. I'm finally leading the tour in something. Congratulations.
No, not you.
Well, we have got another tight tournament, as you can see with the leaderboard check-in. It's just going to be that way for. Just go ahead and predict that's going to be the way it's going to be forever.
Yeah, we can even stop saying it. We could just be like, there's the leaderboard, and look at all those people.
Yeah, look at that bunch of people. Everyone's so good. Hole 3 is a uphill par 4. Big tee shot and hyzer to get into position. Some people actually are throwing the sidearm checkup to leave themselves a longer second shot through the woods, but it's more of a natural hyzer if you don't go way around the corner.
Yeah, I kind of like the play to lay up short, and let me explain why. The shorter you are in the gap...
I think everyone would take that drive right there, though.
The shorter you are in the gap, your approach shot has a shorter time to turn.
Yeah, you're giving yourself more time to have the natural fade of a driver. Yeah,
so if you lay it up short, as your disc goes straight and then goes to the left, you're actually making the gaps a lot bigger.
McBeth out driving the landing zone with his forehand, and I think that's a great point as Calvin's turnover also fades too soon. As you get this turnover shot out of your hand, it has to be moving right more than it's moving forward at a certain point. Isaac showing you a good example. It's going to be fine. He didn't come up too short, but it's still going to be a little bit of a scramble. That's how a lot of these woods play here in Appling.
So if you're before this little stump, he almost tried to kick it. Don't do that.
That was a good effort.
It's a good effort, yeah.
But not in C2 even, I don't think. If it is, it's back edge.
This is a tight gap between the tree and the little shrub, Annie.
Yeah, and this is more of a play just to move forward. I don't think... No, actually, there it comes back at the end. It's fading a little bit. We'll have some long look at it. Calvin, look at this. Finding some backdoor over the top route with the forehand flex. What a beautiful scramble shot. And once again, Chris, off the tee, best of the bunch.
I love this.
And 3 bullseyes to start his tournament off. Yes, please.
I like how he went straight and he didn't try to take on any of the trees.
Yeah, so Paul did find his way in C2, but low ceiling, lengthy putt through the woods gave that a half effort. And Isaac with his patented quick release comes up just a bit left. This was the hole that Calvin Heimburg won in the playoff against Adam Hammes a few years ago. If you guys remember that classic battle with Adam Hammes making every putt under the sun for about the entire week. Hat flying off.
Flowy locks.
Flowy locks. That's where he got the nickname that we all call him to this day, Flowy locks. Chris, what a great start. So important to get these early birdies. These first 3 all playing under par, but doesn't feel like you should be 3 under through 3. But Chris is, and that really helps set him up for a great round if he can continue this trend.
Disc golf keeps growing. At the Power Disc Golf Academy, we believe in adding power to the player to level up their game. That's why Paul Ulibarri, a top 50 ranked player, is taking the past 18 years of teaching disc golf and boiling it down into lessons across every subject. From driving, to putting, to drills, to practice, to mental game, and much more, all to give you the power to grow as a player. Grow your game with the Power Disc Golf Academy.
Learn how to improve your game with one of the best teachers in the game. Paul's business partner. No, I'm just kidding.
David. Hole 4, par 3, 327. So we played a few par 4s to start it off, a pretty easy par 3, and this one gets on the more technical side. Really tight gap off the bat. little fade. You got to miss one middle tree. Let's see if Chris can do it. Hyzer the whole way.
That looks
There, it looks good.
Is it long enough?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's the key. You have to push the back edge and then really start to quickly hyzer.
But that's okay. These guys are probably going to make this gap look pretty easy, but I promise you, everybody on this card has probably had to scramble at some point in their career on this hole. It's a tough gap to hit.
Because look at that. Beautiful shot from Paul. And he is going to find himself right at the edge of the bullseye.
It's easy to miss a little bit right and pull it a little bit and then kick left. And that's a really tough spot to be in.
It's a really full mid-range, or it's a softly thrown driver, but I feel like a lot of people get in trouble when they try to check up on a driver because it is just a kind of an awkward in-between speed.
I like when people take their most overstable, whether it be mid-range
Look at that.
or driver.
Yes.
Throw it straight and let the disc do the rest of the work.
That's the way to do it. Bullseye for Isaac, and Chris here to keep the perfect round going.
Oh, that looked good, too.
Valiant effort.
Yeah, over the years, I've noticed that he's taken a lot of spin off of his putts. It, comes in like a floppy flyer. I'm not sure if that's on purpose. That's on purpose right there. I'm not sure if that's on purpose as far as Chris goes, or if maybe over time your putt just changes. Because it used to have so much spin.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all are molded by our experiences and by potential trauma of putts that have gone past the basket. And
they turn into floppy flyers?
They turn into floppy flyers over time because you just are sick and tired of the 30-foot comebacks. That's why I think there's a lot of those young kids have such fast, speedy putts. They shoot all their venom. And then eventually they're like, wait, maybe I should reserve some of this
for when I'm in trouble.
And then that's how I'm shaped, at least. I don't know. On to hole 5. This is the first hole on the course that averages over par, and rightfully so. 3.02 average, which is actually pretty dang low considering how tough this gap is to hit and how brutal saving par can be. 432 feet, dead straight. Paul off the right side last year. I don't know if they're doing this again, but there's a Rectech grill for CTP.
Calvin.
But last year, the Rectech grill was won on the very first throw of the tournament. Connor O'Reilly put the disc under the basket, and it stayed there all 4 rounds.
Turn.
Breaking its way down the fairway, getting an insanely good kick to bullseye. Are you kidding me, Isaac? Yeah, okay.
Does he hit something?
Yeah, he hits left side fairway. It's looking pretty good, and now it's looking real good. I mean,
that makes the fairway really big.
Yeah, that's like playing bowling with the rails.
True.
You just got to strike. Chris, this is moving the right way.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the objective is hit the initial gap and then just go, whew.
I feel like he would have barely made it to circle 2 anyway.
Yeah, that didn't have a lot of pace on it, did it? Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. And there's why this hole becomes insanely challenging if you miss this initial gap. And look what Paul's left with here for his 3rd shot. Wow, great
really
effort.
Good.
Really great. I mean, he had to go so high. He had nothing. And now Calvin having to scramble. He's got to go high with the forehand.
He's fine over there, though, I feel like. As far as the difference between left and right here is a lot like hole 1. When you're on the right side, that sidearm high is kind of wide open.
Yes.
To get to at least 30 feet, it's kind of wide open. To park, it's a little tougher.
And can he save?
Yes.
Calvin does indeed save the par.
But left really pinches you off.
Mm-hmm. This would be a good bogey scramble for Paul, and he does collect it. Obviously, it's not going to feel good, but, man, it can get a lot worse from that side. As you can see, he was in a bad spot the whole way. Isaac is just going to walk up here and tap in. And I'll get Isaac to 3 under. Now he's tied with Chris, who had the perfect start. And a couple of good starts on our card now.
Yeah, 3, 3, 2, 1. Paul's 1. I don't care what his score is at. It equals like 4 better than that.
Yeah, never look at his current score. You have to look at his future projected score because he will get them.
Yeah, by the end of the tournament, he'll have like 20 of those. That's my prediction. Bold.
Yeah.
It's a bold prediction.
Yeah, it really is bold considering he's done the same thing for 20 years. I don't know how you come up with these incredibly accurate predictions.
Another tough hole, though, here. 366 up the hill, drifting from right to left. This, if he misses that one, he's good.
Oh, missed that one.
I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, the backhand is just, it is such a narrow path that the disc has to travel.
Better.
It requires you to flip it up a bit.
Yep.
And
almost identical.
So Calvin being more inside actually ended up being the thing that cost him a park job. Yep. But he's got the right idea. It's got to be hyzer. It's got to be moving left, but it's also got to stand up gently.
I think the low shot is worse. The high shot stalls in front of that stuff.
This is about exactly how you draw it up.
And then you get... it's tough to park this thing. Circle's edge is like where you see a lot of people. Chris is about as good as you can do.
This is one of the few holes where the right-handed forehand flex, if you have that shot, actually does shape this fairway much wider than the backhand, but it's not a shot that everyone has, especially going up the hill.
It plays about 400.
It plays long. McBeth uphill putt, and that one just never had a chance.
It was high enough.
Yeah, part of it was okay.
I guess I heard when you said that, the ringing in my ears of all the old players being like, never up it, never in. Get it up. I'd rather miss high than low.
Just people who only speak in cliches.
And now my brain is like, well, at least it was high enough.
Yeah, sure.
Like, that's not fine. Missing's not okay.
I don't know how to speak to somebody who only speaks in cliches. Like, I want to return with one, like, have a good day, sir. But that's not a cliche. That's just a nicety.
Yeah.
Isaac in for birdie.
Morning's coming soon, isn't it?
Top of the morning to you. So.
Yeah, there you go.
And pars for both Calvin and Paul. And we got a couple of really good starts now. 4 under through 6 for both Chris and Isaac.
Flyer.
Yeah.
What do you think after 9 is like your preferred start here?
I mean,
like playing consistent, not really making mistakes, and getting the birds that you need to.
I think what I'm expecting out here for these guys is 5 under to 6 under is incredible. I mean, what a start that is. The back 9 does get harder, much harder in places, but I think that if these guys can get to that 5 or 6 under, I think they're putting themselves in an incredible position as we fly over hole 7. This is a tough one. You can throw the perfect drive off the tee and essentially be in a position where you're still scrambling. The second shot is so specific. Part 1, get yourself down there.
Pretty basic tee shot, really.
Oh, skipping long. Isaac's going to have that right side. He's probably going to have to go through a couple layers of trees to get himself a look.
Lost it a little bit left, but that's okay.
Yeah, stood that one up out of the hand. This is a good fairway driver to slow distance driver type shot for these guys. You want to get left. You want to get right about there. You have another about, I don't know, about 35, 40 feet forward.
You could play with, yeah.
That would make the shot. It doesn't even necessarily make the next shot easier, though. That's the thing about this one. Look at that.
It kind of.
You think it does?
I think so, only because if you get a little farther, you take the flex out of the disc that you need to throw, right?
Okay.
Like then you can play one angle hyzer all the way to the pin. That's a pretty good effort from where he was, and easy par. Yeah, he did his job to kind of get up there. But you see how McBeth's gonna have to feather a straight shot or move it from left to right to get the big gap.
Yeah, I thought that.
Watch.
Look at this get through. All
Watch
right.
where Calvin is, and he's probably going to be able to just do one angle. See what I mean?
Okay.
On hyzer, and that's what getting closer does.
Didn't commit, didn't like it out of his hand.
Got away
Gets
with it.
through, and he's going to have himself a pretty open look. You can see that right branch coming to your screen there. If you're pin high or you're behind the basket, you have this insanely low ceiling putt that becomes very, very challenging for the short proximity to the basket.
Isaac pinched, like you said. Tough to do anything from there. Played with his brother, and let's just say they're both pretty good.
I've been playing quite a bit with Ezra lately, and the guy, I don't think he even recognizes the trees that are in front of him. He just throws through everything.
Georgia boys, I feel like.
The really cool thing about both of them is that I think as McBeth lines up this long birdie putt, just ticks the band. They get mid-range type flight with their drivers, and I don't know many other people who are able to do that, as Calvin knocks down a nice birdie.
This guy does it with his eagle.
Yeah, there's a few players who can do that, but Calvin doesn't throw the long, lengthy turnovers that just keep bending right with the drivers. And that's something that I think at some point we're going to have to see Isaac go to that, because he does not go to the forehand at all. Kind of like James Conrad in that way, but maybe I think we've probably seen more forehands from James Conrad than Isaac.
I love the way that he just puts it on angle right away.
Boom.
He uses the stability of the disc to do the flight. He doesn't try to put a flight on the disc.
Nice knockdown from Heimburg. That's a scary location to go for the putt. And Calvin gets himself right up there with the other two now with a big birdie on 7. Be interesting to see how many forehands versus how many backhands we see off the tee on 8. As you have this left to right moving dogleg par 4. Not that long of a hole, but you want to get up to this little gap right here. That's where a really good drive set yourself up for the 300-foot approach to the pin. Through the woods, there's essentially 2 lanes that you can approach this pin. Left side and right side are both pretty good, the right side being the wider of the 2. High forehand with Calvin's Firebird, and
that's what happens. You kind of just, it's like so hard to get in the very middle of this fairway.
I think the best possible type of forehand here is a high stall that lands on that right side and stays, but it's so tricky because you're playing with that early right side, which is just absolute garbage. You do not want to be in that early corner.
See how that one is. That tree might be a problem. If it's not, then he'll have a hyzer type of shot into the green. He's going with a putter.
He's going
like
zone. The only reason I like the zone is because I think the longest that you can possibly get is down that right side, but he is now in a really bad spot.
Oh, I like the play. I just don't like the shot he threw with it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Pardon me.
And McBeth trying to check up a little bit here with his Raptor, and he connects on the early side, but he's not out of contention for the birdie. He's just a long way back.
Yeah.
Now Chris is going to have to come up with a great shot just to get into position. And that's not
good,
even it's short of where he would even like his drive to be, I think.
Yeah.
But he's still, that's this disc right in front of Paul.
He has a pretty big gap, though. Look at this flexor.
If you can keep this, I was going to say, if that kept moving left, that would have been...
It's there. It's there. I had somebody on my card in a similar position, but left, flex a forehand all the way to the hole.
Wow.
really
Yeah,
great.
you can see this right side gap's bigger, but the one thing that makes it pretty tricky is there is a tree that I swear is exactly where you want your disc to fly. And if you hit this gap, you have to make a conscious decision early on. Am I trying to attack this wide or inside? Because if you go down the middle, you're going to hit that tree every single time. Calvin goes the tight route. And Isaac, can he beat that tree?
Of course.
Actually, he goes right of everything. And look at that slide down to 15 feet. And that's going to get him to 5 under.
It's a good up shot. Good save. Long hope right here. Good height.
Yeah, it gives a stab. Chris is going to have a lengthy par putt coming, and he's in danger of taking his first bogey. And he will. A casual 5 under now for Isaac. That's kind of defining his entire gameplay and his approach to the game, it seems. He's just very at ease, it seems, at times. Two-stroke swing there for Isaac. Silas Schultz still holding down that hot round thus far at 9 under. It's a good score. We've come to the end of the front 9, Paul.
Yeah, this one's tricky little hole here. 618. Initial tee shot is very tight, and you want to throw it straight really as far as you can for as long as you can, and then you want that whatever disc is to get really stable quick and move left, give yourself a short up shot. All kinds of gaps you can hit coming into the pin. As you see, this is exactly what you want. I mean, this
just flies the road.
That's picture perfect.
Yeah, it's in the top 4 or 5 longest drives I think I've ever seen on this one. You can't really shape the fairway better.
Here's Calvin doing his best impression.
Of himself.
Could be going too far, and it is.
I think every time Calvin steps up to a low ceiling tight gap, he's just like, God, I'm so happy I'm Calvin Heimburg right now.
Yeah, Paul likes being Paul, though. And there's a backdoor route right there. Flex forehand.
Yeah.
It's pretty doable.
For a good tee shot, I think he's found one of the trickier places that you can find yourself on across the road. Anything across the road is great. But I think I think Chris actually has a better approach to the pin than Paul does, at least as far as the angle of the gap.
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty straightforward shot.
Because you can go around to the right side of those trees or inside like he did. Mm-hmm. Only thing you can't do is those 2 trees in the middle. So,
and Calvin in a little bit of a tricky spot.
Oh, very tricky.
Oh, okay. Should be
fine from there.
Should be fine. And Paul, he's going to go backhand flexor, yeah, down the middle. But there are a lot more trees in the middle.
Actually, just straight turnover.
If you're a normal human. Yeah, that gap actually looks pretty generous from there.
Huh.
I might be getting this one wrong here, but there are some tricky spots in the middle. Isaac, this coming out of his hand seemingly kind of hot, yeah. And there's that Georgia pine straw ground play making its way to the back edge of the circle.
Yeah, he put steep hyzer on it to try to negate that arm speed, but did kind of get going.
Calvin, this is off right.
Yeah, not his best effort, but got a little love to get to where he got. That should be fine. Depending on how he's feeling mentally.
Jeez.
A little high. But 6 under front 9 is about as good as anybody could ever hope in their wildest dreams.
Sign me up for that as a final score. Like, I will sign the dotted line for a 6 under. And he's achieved that on the front 9 alone. Chris in for his birdie, and Calvin. Whoops. That's going to suffer his first bogey of the tournament.
Paul gets the bird. That's tough. Taking the bogue, everybody else getting the bird.
Yeah, getting across the road off a tee shot. You just think that you've taken bogey out of play. You can get into some early trouble there if you miss that initial gap. But Calvin taking the bogey, that's going to hurt him for sure. James Conrad, he is still on the course, 7 under. He had to qualify on Monday, one of 8 players who qualified for this tournament at the Monday qualifier.
Tim Barham as well.
Tim Barham also qualifying. Quite a few players out there doing pretty well. As we said earlier, though, get used to these tight scores. It's just going to be the future.
Yeah, Calvin kind of struggling on that front 9, looking for that first major. That's something you want to kind of keep your eye on. Got to get those putts up and have an early start at these majors. Otherwise, the field will run away from you.
Well, that's going to do it for the front 9 here at the first professional major of the 2023 season. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much to the Founders Club. Thank you. Guys, go check out that sale. Seriously, it's we're not going to have that thing going for long. So go ahead, get yourself some merchandise, support the coverage, support yourself.
$5 tees, those are going to be gone in no time.
We'll see you guys for the back 9 in just a moment.